Hey, you guys, Eilers-Heffner, Sapphire Ambassador, finishing out the game of conquering, which I don't have that book in print. And so I learned something new, and that is that I definitely prefer to have the book in my hand to lead a call. I love listening, but I love to go back and at least skim it and be on in the book when we're doing our book clubs and stuff too. So learned a lesson and then I can move forward with that, right? I will have a conquering mindset about it and say I learned something from that experience. Um, so chapter 9, I found this fascinating that the research shows that people would prefer to suffer than to try something new, that they would rather stay where they're at, knowing that they don't like it, knowing that they're miserable, rather than facing the fear of the unknown. I found that really fascinating. And that is such a victim mindset, right? Like, well, this sucks, but I'm gonna stay here because I can't face what is unknown to me, something I've never experienced. Um, and he made a really good point when Edmund Hillary was the first to climb Mount Everest, and that he didn't let the fear of that hold him back. Like we think, oh, people have climbed Mount Everest, like it can be done. It's a huge feat, right? Like tons of preparation, the proper materials, like a lot of authors, like John Maxwell talks about the Everest stuff a lot, And so we know though, right, that it can be done. And when he was attempting that feat, there was no proof that it could be done. And so how scary is that, right? But he decided to go for it and learn the lessons along the way and make that accomplishment, which is such a huge deal, such a huge deal. I think too, like we have an advantage here in Plexus is that we have seen people become diamonds over and over and over again. We've seen all these emerald rank ups. There's a bunch of emerald rank ups in the jewel page. So I need to get those pictures to you guys in the makers chat so you can use them in your stories and stuff, because it's been such an incredible month to see. And it's so exciting and inspiring. But what if we were Sheila Medina, who is like the first diamond? Like no one had ever done it before. So she really had to face like, is this doable? Can this be done with this comp plan? Can this be done with these products? And when she started sharing, we had a breast health kit. That's it. Product that lasted 10 years. And she really faced that fear of unknown. And look at all the things that we have available. Like we really need to get over ourselves and realize that what we face really isn't unknown in terms of being successful in this business, but there may be things that we need to learn and work on in this journey, to be successful. And that's fine. Those are things that we need to work on. Our brain would prefer a negative consequence over the fear of something new. I'm blown away by that. I don't know if, and I think part of that is just I've worked for a long time on mental toughness and grit, and it really started way back in like high school running, where it just really helped me develop that. So I have a hard time wrapping my brain around people feeling like that. And I'm trying to think, like, I need to think more about, okay, is there an area in my life that I'm like, nope, I'll stay here because I'm afraid of what's on the other side. So anyway, but our brain will take a step back and look at the big picture. So I think that's good that we can take a step back, and then we can also learn to move forward. So that victim mindset with the fear of the unknown, is just that we blame others. We see someone go emerald and we like, oh, well, they have a big network, or, oh, they don't have as many kids as I do, or, oh, they signed up a rock star, or, oh, they have more time than I do, or those sort of things. Like that victim is, that not taking accountability for the actions, and that you're fearing that your future is going to be the same as the past, right? So like me, I haven't gone diamond yet. So I'm like, well, when I've done this business, I've seen the points grow before, I've seen this happen before, blah, blah, blah. I could be really negative about that and go, well, it doesn't mean I'm going diamond. It just, I've seen this happen before, right? I've seen points go down before, whatever. And so not focusing on that is super important, that we can not take that victim mentality, that victim mindset in this. And not, the victims keep themselves from the win. focusing on all of the negative. Oh, well, I developed a new goal, but they didn't stay there. They fell back. So I guess I won't develop any, like we could be so negative and things that I wrote this down somewhere, but my notes are all over, but where we say stuff to ourselves that we would never say to another person, right? And that's why I talked about in that call I did, was it last Monday? That on that one IPA sheet, it has like what went well today, what didn't go so well, how would I reflect, what would I tell myself, and like coaching ourselves. And I find that highly valuable and so important because we tell ourselves all these horrible things about things that went wrong. But if you come to me as, my friend, I'm going to say, oh my gosh, well, let's work on this. Like, what can you control? What about that? And I'm going to encourage you and help you see the good and help you see the growth opportunity, right? Not say something horrible to you that I might say to myself. The survivor mindset in this fear of the unknown is that the fear didn't change, just isn't as big. So learning to realize that it's not as big, pouring into more action, more personal growth. But there still could be something like where you're moving forward. So you're making those action steps, but maybe there's still something that you're not doing in that mind, in this survivor part. And that is for him, it was not reaching out to new people. And we know that, and he called it fake working. So is it good to do personal growth? Is it good to do a team call and a training video? Is it good to watch a training video for yourself? Is it good to follow up with your current team? Yeah, absolutely. But for your business to grow, that comes from having meaningful conversations with new people and keeping those conversations going and moving that. So when we get in survivor, it means we're lacking faith to change the future. And so he does address that in this next chapter too, but fear of just repeating the same mistakes. And, I think about this too, like certain things, certain situations with my kids or my family. I'm like, all right, I'm clearly not parenting through this properly, or else we wouldn't keep repeating it. Like, yes, I know some things you just repeat because you have kids and each kid needs to learn the lesson, but there's just certain situations I'm like reflecting back, like, all right, what do I need to learn to change how I'm working through this situation so we can move past it, right? And I think in our businesses too, like, what is it that I need to still unlock to take that next step forward? And that's exciting. It's actually exciting to think about. We can move forward. And Rochelle pointed out last week, like the butterfly feeling and the nervous feeling and the excitement feeling, it's the same feeling. It's just how we're interpreting it. So if we can say like, okay, this is a little scary because I'm not sure, but I'm excited. I'm excited about this next growth opportunity. I'm excited about this challenging conversation or a challenging customer, right? And then other multiple areas of our normal outside of Plexus lives too. And then just remembering that you want to be moving towards the sun, even if it's a crawl, even if we're just, hanging in there. Like we all have had life happen. I've had life happen multiple times during this journey, and I never am not touching my business, right? Are there times where I have more time and more push and more everything? Yeah. And then there's times where it isn't as prominent because there's all this other stuff going on, but I'm never not touching my business. And I think that's super important. Like if you have zero time for a day, if you have a horrible day at work and you're stuck there extra and you come home and the kids are throwing up and like all the terrible things, like put one message out before you go to bed. Like you can put one message out. We have boards app, y'all. You can do like boom, 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 like get them out. We really have no excuse. But it's just that it's the same thing. Like if you don't do it, then the next day, like, well, I didn't do it yesterday either. So why would I bother doing it today? Right. But if you can touch your business every day, no matter what, even Sundays when I don't work, I'm still doing something for my business. But making sure you're moving forward. All right. Anyway, he told the story of that when he went on the mission trip, he didn't speak the language. He was like, they didn't want to be helped. He was there to help people. They didn't want to be helped. Does anybody feel that? We work in healthcare. I'm looking at Melissa like, oh my gosh, like, yeah, you just had a surgery because you didn't help yourself, and now you still don't want to help yourself, but there is no other choice. Like, we're not carrying you around. You have to get up and go to the bathroom. Like, sorry, let's go. But he was like, I would rather, if I get hit by a car and get injured, then I get to go home. Like, those were his thoughts. Can you imagine? Can you imagine being that sad and lonely and alone and in this victim mindset that you're like, if I could just get hit by a car, then I could go home to what's familiar. But then he just made a decision to enjoy where he was, to be thankful. Like, I'm thankful I have a house. I have clothes, I have food. And even if it's just those bare minimums that you can start with being thankful for and then build on that, it's totally the mindset. It's totally changing. And then he just ended up loving his experience, right? And maintaining that positive attitude is what he had to flip his own script to do. Conquer is just thriving outside of that comfort zone and living in that unknown until it becomes known. And then he didn't say this, but I'm like, well, then you have to push yourself into the next thing that's uncomfortable and unknown so that you can continue to grow, right? Like, okay, I'm gonna like the first day I was a PT, I did all the schooling, I did all the clinicals, I had the exam, my license, but I was not like I wasn't comfortable as a PT when I started, even though I'd gone through all of that. It was after I had experience and learned and pulled out a couple IVs on people. I think that only happened once or twice my whole career at the hospitals, but just you learn from those mistakes. Well, then it became known, right? Then it became known. And then I'm like, okay, well, now I need to challenge myself a different way. So I started teaching. I started doing other things because I didn't want to stay stuck in something that was so comfortable that you become super complacent. And then doing one thing every day that makes you uncomfortable. So and I think if you are so uncomfortable in some area of your business, one, you need to talk to your sponsor about that so that we can help you. And number two, if you're not able to work yourself up to doing it in your business, then do it in your personal life. One of the speakers she came to convention and she also came to like an Emerald trip. The author who did something like scary all the time, like went skydiving and bungee jumped and just all these crazy things because she didn't want fear to hold her back from trying new things. So she purposely picked these crazy things to go do to face her fears. I'm sure, Jackie, you can probably remember who and what that all was. I don't remember the details, but picking something that makes you uncomfortable. And I do this still sometimes if I have people that I'm just afraid of being judged, right? Which is chapter 10 of whatever. Like I send the message and then I turn my phone off and go to bed. Like, okay, I sent the message. I did there you go, Michelle. Good job, Melissa. I think you're right. I do also, there's just some people that it's like, oh, they're probably going to tell me no. Well, what if they don't tell me no? What if they do want information? Whatever. And so I send the message and close it up, go to bed. I did it. I did the scary thing, right? I'm in this phase of cooling down my shower. It's not cold. The last little bit's cold, but like it's not a cold shower, but it's a cooler shower. I am forcing myself to work harder at the gym. I'm, doing things purposely that are extremely uncomfortable in order to push myself in all areas of my life to be a better human. So anyway, journaling so that our brains are also, because he said our brains are also designed to solve problems. So if we're writing down the things that we're afraid of, and that comes down to that IPA sheet too, kind of the journaling side of things is that you can also then think, what am I going to do to solve this problem, right? What am I going to do to move forward through this? All right. And then writing down 3 solutions to each problem. I think that's reasonable. We do that in a lot of areas, right? We do that if like, I don't know, we do that at work, I would say. Okay, if the patient doesn't participate with this, I'm going to try this, I'm going to try this, I'm going to try this. Like I'm going to try all these things to at least get them to do something to participate in their rehab. A judge, fear of being judged, judgments We usually only have part of the information. And this is a good reminder. Like even in PT or OT world, like we see this documentation, and the documentation really is supposed to paint a pretty good picture of the situation and what happened, but we're all human. And so it's really hard to judge an entire situation based just on documentation, right? Because we weren't there. We weren't there. Medical documentation is supposed to be pretty thorough. So there is that, like, but we weren't there. So you don't really know, it's supposed to be the facts. Here's the facts, not all of the extra emotion that is probably occurring in situations. But our brain also likes to tend towards that first impression. And so we just have this fear of what people will think, and they'll think I'm silly or whatever. I mean, I've been around people that have seen me grow this business to Sapphire, and they're still like kind of making fun of me and like, oh, she's just X, Y. I don't even know. I mean, I really blocked it out. Melissa's probably heard more. She could, whatever. And I don't care. I'm like, I don't care because y'all are still working at that hospital and I'm not. So I don't care what you think, And I have a stronger personality. So I recognize that not everyone can get over that fear of being judged as easily. So he just really talked about that here, right? Fear of what other people think, and this was the thing, speaking to ourselves in a way that we would never speak to somebody else. And then just also reminding ourselves, like, how would we treat this business and opportunity if we were guaranteed not to fail? If I say you definitely are gonna be a diamond, like you're gonna do this, like you can absolutely do this, there is no reason, like you are guaranteed to be a diamond. We're gonna treat this business so differently, right? Than if we still have those doubts. Like if just remember that, like I am gonna be a diamond. And so when we are in that problem solving mode, telling our brain that, all of that, it's just different. And I think we treat our businesses differently when we are like, I'm guaranteed to be a diamond. It's gonna happen. Anyway, the victim is always making excuses, asking for sympathy. They don't go for challenging circumstances, right? Survivors, they try to be seen as right, and they don't always want to see that they're wrong, and they can be insecure and immature. I was like, oh, okay, because I like to be right. So I'm like, this is good reflection. Am I in some survivor mode in some areas of my life? Let me reflect a little bit more, right? And then the conqueror is going to use critiques to improve themselves, use difficult experiences and past failures to learn. So this is kind of like I was talking, like different situations with my kids, my family. I'm like, okay, like you can't just keep doing the same thing over and over and over. It's insanity. Like, how can we change this? How can we reflect? What can we do differently to learn? And then just reminding ourselves, let our test be our testimony, our mess be our message, stopping the people pleasing, being mindful of who we're surrounding ourselves with. John Maxwell talks a lot about that too. Like, who are the 5 people that you're spending the most time with, because that's how you're going to become. And so really surrounding ourselves with people that we can learn from and look up to and be better around. He talked a lot about the internal versus external value and just and it was going really, like, I didn't get to write down quick enough as he was reading to me. So hopefully you guys can pull that up. But the external values are like not great things that we end up falling back on, right? And then he told us, like, come up with a mission statement, remind ourselves of that. What are our values? Something I've been talking to my kids, because they like to say, like, one misbehaves or one hits one or one does something to the other one. And then, well, she did this, so I did that. I'm like, no, I can deal with her doing the wrong thing, but you're doing the wrong thing too. So I'm dealing with your wrong thing first, and have a standard. Have a standard for your life. Don't sink down to her level. Your standard is that you don't hit people back when they hit you, or you don't talk back when something happens. Like, your standard for your life, the way you're going to live. So just, what is our standard? What is our value? Where's our place of peace? And going back to that, reminding ourselves of that, and then making sure we have our positive affirmations. We're going through those daily. I talk about this a lot. And then a morning routine. I love that he just brought up, like, have a morning routine, people, like, just have a morning routine. And that's part of being a conqueror and everything, but he's tied it into fear of judgment. So I found that really interesting that it was tied into fear of judgment, not just over, kind of was wrapping it up too, but still just interesting that it read out at that point. So anyway, can't wait to hear what you all have to say.
There were so many good points in this, and I was just like, holy crap, many times reading this. I mean, I was like, all right, need to make some changes, not only for myself, but in what I hear from my kids or my family and different things. And I was like, okay, and Elizabeth, you and I have been talking quite a bit. We've been pretty open and honest. I mean, we can call each other out on our BS a lot of times, which is great. That is a sign of a good friend and a good leader. And we're like, okay, we need to make changes here. We need to do this. And it's not oh, we suck at this kind of thing, but it's like, okay, we see this, how can we improve? We see this, how can we improve? And in my life, it's been crazy. I mean, my mom had dementia when I was in high school, and I could have stayed in that mindset. There was a time it wasn't even safe for me to be at home. I had to go live with my grandma. I could stay in that and focus on that, or continue to grow, get through PT school. I mean, Elizabeth, you probably didn't even know I was like kind of homeless during my last year of PT school, right? I mean, and my biggest times of growth, was when my dad was dying and Damon's dad was dying and the world was blowing up, and that was when we hit Sapphire, double ranking within 6 months. So, it's do we choose to take these excuses of these circumstances are awful and I'm going to spiral into this of the world and these things are happening to me, or am I going to take those and move forward from there and say, you know what, life is crappy sometimes, but I'm going to take these circumstances and I can choose how I react to them. And I think a lot of us get stuck in that. And, there was a lot of that fear and playing small of, you know what, I'll send a message here and there, and I'm not going to really push somebody here. I'm not going to really do this. I don't want to hurt their feelings if I ask them to do something. You know what? You're hurting them by not doing that. And you're hurting yourself by not doing that. So, who gives a rip what they think? If your big motive is to help people and grow and help you and grow, help your family and grow, and your bigger mission, I think all of us that are on there, all of us that are on here are, oh, we want to be millionaires and suck in all this money for ourselves and do nothing. I think every single person on here, I've heard talk about a bigger mission that they would like to do with the money that they earn and do things. So it isn't just about us, it's what we can do for others. So that was a lot that I took out of these couple chapters, and I have work to do too. So just know you're not alone in that.
Oh, so good, Jackie. I didn't know you were homeless. And I told this story to Angie yesterday because I don't know if you saw her stories, but she was having a super emotional day. So I feel comfortable saying it because it was all over her Instagram. But I was like, Angie, it's okay. Like this is your virtual hug from Jackie because she's a miracle worker. I was with my other, like our class was very, very good at being friends. Our whole PT class, like we were all friendly, but we also had little pockets where we were like closer of like friends. And I was with Christina and Charla. So they're like, you're gonna be okay. Like, and I'm like, I mean, for hours, y'all. Like, I could not stop crying. I was like trying to eat my soup and prepare for the next practical. And Jackie came, I was sitting on the floor and she came behind me and she put her hands on my shoulders and she's like, you're gonna be okay. It's all gonna be okay. You've got this. And then I was like, oh, okay. Stop crying. Moved on. I'm sure that Charla and Christina and anyone else who saw me walking around crying was like, dude, you're fine. You're going to be okay. But it was Jackie's magic like presence that calmed me down. And she was going through a bunch of crap. And I didn't even know. So just get beyond yourself. Jackie, thank you for stopping me from crying into my soup.
Jackie was so good like that, and she still is. And it's like PT school. I don't even know. Like when the like I couldn't tell you how many times like if I just crash my car, then I don't have to go to PT school tomorrow. Like seriously, like when that I was like, oh, this is like yeah, flashbacks. It's kind of scary. Like, and then to have that thought, right? Like, oh my gosh, like I have so much to like I just want things to stop. Like, what can I do to stop everything, right? Like what a terrible, like, how did we survive it? I don't even know. But we were survivors, right? Like we were in kind of survival mode a lot of the times, and we had to get to that conquering mode, and we did it. We made it through without realizing what we were doing. But reading this book definitely hits home when they're talking about the attributes of a survivor, because you're like, oh gosh, yep, there's me in that, or oh gosh, am I playing the victim in this case? Or oh gosh, like how do I get to that conquering part? Like in different areas of your life, it really makes you analyze, as a survivor, you're not quitting, right? It's like you're just not gonna quit. But are you thriving? Are you moving forward? And that to me, like really hit home as like, am I in survivor mode? Like, what do I need to do to get to the conquering mode? And it's looking at that bigger vision, and it's looking at the team as a whole. It's looking at how many people we can help. It's like moving outside of myself and attributing to that bigger vision. So this book was awesome.
Too bad you didn't have that AFib back then. You're
right. Sorry, gotta go to the hospital. Exactly. I don't know what I wouldn't have been able to function. That's crazy.
It's terrible. You'd have to like drop to part-time or something. It's terrible. We have if your family members want to be a PT, just warn them. It's traumatizing, and it's very different now. It's very different because we got our we got our doctorate degree very quickly, and now it's like 4 years of get a bachelor's before you can even go, and these kids are coming out with so much debt, and the salary is not increased, y'all. Like it's not like we make more money,
It's
but
not working.
no, a new grad's coming out with all this debt. It's not scalable. It's like more debt, same pay for salary. So if you have family members who want to be PTs, we love our job. We love what we do. It's just crazy right now. So I remember when I would get my hair done when my kids were little, and I'd have my eyebrows waxed, and I'd go like lay down, in the shampoo bowl, and I'm like, okay, I know it's gonna hurt, but at least I can close my eyes and take a little nap here for a minute. Like, it's just crazy how we get through life sometimes, right? But anybody else?
Okay, I have to give a shout out to Yashana because seriously, and I talked to Elizabeth about this earlier. We talk about you, just so you know, we talk about all of our team. Good things because we want the best for everyone. But I was like, you know what? I love how she's pulling out all these positives. I'm like, she is showing so many leadership qualities. She's pulling out, she wants to know how many joins our team had. She wants to do all these things. She's putting things in our team page. She's doing all these things. I'm seeing all this positive growth from her. And, and sometimes even your leaders, yeah, Steve, tell her, don't do it. Don't do it. But anyway, sometimes even your leaders, sometimes we look back because, we've been in this. I mean, Elizabeth and I started in 2016, and I think you started not too soon before I did. I started in October.
I started sharing in like April.
Okay. So, I mean, so we've been in this a long time, and we've seen swings of so many joins per month and so little joins per month and so many people promoting and so many little promoting. And we love to see the excitement because sometimes, like, say you were making a gazillion dollars a month and now you're making $100 a month. You're going to go like, ooh, crap, So sometimes, and not saying that we're doing that, but I'm just saying to see somebody so excited and pull that in, is like, wow, wow. And sometimes we need to reset ourselves. So, if you're used to, something, and then you're seeing something else, to see that extra energy and positivity pulling in and going, oh, even like Tracy, she had a new join yesterday. I was like, oh, that's so exciting. So seeing all these different little things and reminding ourselves, enjoy that moment for the people and see where you're at and see where you're going and harness that positivity. It's just really exciting. And so I appreciate the rest of our team as well, because sometimes we get stuck in our own heads, and I love seeing all of you guys as different things going on. So way to go, Yashana. Whoop, way to go, Tracy. I saw your stuff too.
Yes, I love it. Yep. Yoshana's gonna rank up this month. We're gonna
I thank you, Jackie, thank you all. And just being at convention lit a fire under me, and just seeing everything, all the positivity and everything. And reading this book, really has opened my eyes, like, oh yeah, I have a lot to work on. I need to work on getting out of the victim or survivor mindsets. And I watched the community huddle today, and Genevieve, she said this, which made me think, like, yeah, just like you always say, Jackie, get over your dang self. It's like, she said, all we're doing is sharing to encourage people to show up for their life the very best way they can. And I was like, yeah, it just clicked. And then I read something recently. I shared it in my stories, but it said, God doesn't take away your problems, he makes a way through them. He didn't take away the Red Sea, he made a way through the Red Sea. He parted the Red Sea for them. So I just trying to have that mentality and just get out of my head and go out there and do the hard things.
I love
Like,
it.
awesome job. And I absolutely love seeing your videos, like your reels and your dancing. I'm like, she is so stinking cute. I just love everything about it. And yeah, the excitement, like, keep it up, like, keep it going. That's what's going to get you to rank up. That's what's going to attract people to you. People love that. You're doing awesome.
Absolutely. And
Well-
Eric Worre really says, like, move from excitement to excitement, right? So you have one girl who's working on sharing and stuff. And so just you're moving her to the next exciting thing. Oh, you lost a pound. Like, that's great. Like, and that is so true though about anything. I don't care if they're building a business or not. Like, and it's exciting for us to see that coming back to us. Like Melissa, I use her example all of the time. How much younger are you than me? Like 13 years or something? 16 years? I don't know. So she's a lot younger than I am. And she hadn't had any kids yet. And she was like passing out at work. And like, they're like, oh, you have a weird migraine thing. I'm like, this is not okay. Like, Melissa, you are so young. Like, this is not okay. And I'm like, it was such an honor to see her feel better and I'm like, I would have done it for free, right? Because she's my friend. Absolutely. And just like, she got her whole life back. She did a triathlon or biathlon in her first triathlon with a boat instead of swimming in her first trimester. I was like wanting to sleep on the grass outside of my workplace when in my first trimester. I'm like, that grass looks really comfortable. I could go lay down, and I didn't because I was afraid I wouldn't wake up and make it back for my patient. So I didn't do it, but here she was doing that. That's just incredible, you guys. And we need to remind ourselves, like, even us that have been doing this a while, like, go back to Got Health and Happiness and read the testimonies. Watch a Diamond Doc a day, like, go back through them, because that's what we need to focus on. It's just that we know that this is possible. And I think it's really encouraging to see so many rank ups in the Jewel page even too. I mean, we see them like there's rank ups in Pink Power too, like golds and senior golds and fast start silver. So that's really great to see too. But it's really great too to see people hitting Jewel rank, because, it maybe for some of us, for some of you might feel really far off, but there's that tendency to go, oh, they're more outgoing than I am. Oh, they're more than I am. They don't have as many kids as I, like, kind of saying like, oh, but when you really look at it, we're all just normal people. We're all just normal people. And so it's really possible for anyone to do this. And you really are guaranteed to do it. If you don't quit, you are guaranteed to be successful. And you are successful. You're on this call. You've gotten joins. You're helping people. You are successful. But to keep reminding ourselves of those exciting things when things maybe don't always feel super exciting in our own business. Melissa had somebody like, I want a free reset. How do I do that? Can I post this? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yes, you can. You haven't posted anything about Plexus, so it might be a little weird to post, hey, I'm looking for people for this detox program, but try it, see what happens, And now Melissa has somebody to work with and help go to those next steps, which is super encouraging. That's exciting.
So I want to talk a minute about the things that we say about ourselves that are terrible. Steve, I'm singling you out because I love you. I'm an introvert too. And I, believe it or not, right? Like seriously, when I go to convention and I have all that fun, if you guys don't know, I have to go back to my hotel room and have quiet time. And when I don't, it's a disaster. You guys have seen the disaster. It's not good. So, but Steve, he Elizabeth's laughing at me. So Steve, I am so proud of you. You opened up your home, what was it, a couple weeks ago, and had a mixology event. We had a couple people there. It was so nice. And did we get any joints from that? No, but it was great because it opened up things and it gave you the courage, it gave Melissa the courage, it gave us the opportunity to just have friend time. So we can all tell ourselves the things that we're not or the things that we are, and we can move and grow from there. So I encourage you to do those scary things. Have an event, reach out to someone, do those different things because we don't know where it's going to land us. And we may tell ourselves, you know what? I'm really good with being sober. I'm really good with being cold. I don't need more than that. But you know what? Other people need it. You are selling yourself short. And if you had extra time and money, what could you do with that? How could you bless other people? And I think, these last couple chapters really, really brought that home about that fear and selling ourselves short and all of those things. I think we tend to get in that survivor mindset where we don't want to say that we can do more because then we've got to do more and then it's scary and then people are going to judge us. And I'm going to tell you, my family's the worst. They're butt heads about this and they're the ones who need this the most, right? Honestly. And so I just want to encourage you guys, even your leaders have those fears and we still keep going. So keep doing those things too. And I really think August is going to be great. We've got some great things going on. We've got some detox challenges. I just posted about that today. There's still, you guys, there's a huge momentum moving with Plexus. You want to get on this. Keep doing these things. If you're scared about it, if you're intimidated, great. Reach out to your sponsor. We will help you. So that's my love notes for today.
Awesome. I love it. All right, guys, next week. Oh, my book's somewhere. Winning with people, right? Winning with people, the green one. Hold on, I'm gonna grab it because John Maxwell, Winning with People, the schedule is posted. It's weird because there's no chapters, it's like sections, so I have to go by page numbers in the schedule. But yeah, so that starts next week. And I think I have it going for 8 weeks. So that's good. Winning with People, John Maxwell. And it'll be excited. Grab somebody that can get on with us. I'm hoping to grab some new people to get on with our book club too. Thank you.
Oh, fun fact too. I was looking up the video because I like to see sometimes John Maxwell's stuff is on YouTube for the audio. There is an audio. I'll have to share that. But there was also a fun video of John Maxwell like back in the day. You can tell he's a whole lot older and like just the fashion is very different. But he's talking about the book and he's not like per se reading the book, but it's a lot of the principles too, and he's telling stories. And I listened to a couple minutes on the way home and it was really interesting. So that was cool to see and nice to hear it from his own words too.
Oh, that's great. You should,
Oh.
yeah, like Jackie just said in the chat, put that in the team page, the links to those.
Yep, I will do that.
Yeah.